And good morning, folks. We are live here on our special preview of the Sound Mind, Sound Body Detroit 7-on-7 showcase. We will be going live over the air on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA very, very shortly. But we want to get with you guys on the stream, all of our followers on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. Appreciate you joining us this morning to preview what is guaranteed to be an outstanding event. Several of the top teams in the state, featuring several of the top players in the state, all going to do action, all going to do battle in a couple of days here down in the D. And we get a chance to preview that. And we're going to have a bird's eye view. We're going to be down there, as a matter of fact, on location. But this gives us an opportunity before we go on the air to kind of reflect a bit. Just learned it's been 19 years for Sound Mind, Sound Body. And we've been going out for 18 of those. Joining us to preview the upcoming event, first of all, my partner, my brother from another mother, Allen Trieu, 24/7 Sports National Recruiting Analyst. Allen, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good, Sam.
My man, Curtis Blackwell. Black, I remember back when it all started, I think, man, what was it, like 30 dudes the first year, at least that we were out there? And look at you now, Sound Mind, Sound Body. About to turn 20 here next season. How you doing this morning, man?
I'm good, man. Very happy to be here. Barely made it home from, we had a Sound Mind, Sound Body camp in the Dominican Republic, and the weather and the flights were horrible. So I'm just so happy to be back and be on the show with you all. Thank God.
All right, man. See, Sound Mind, Sound Body in the DR, going international. That tells you how far we come. But let's just reflect for a second because we're going to start out in a couple of minutes talking about the event down at Wayne State. We're going to have Nick Marsh on first to talk about River Rouge and his participation in the event. But just for folks who aren't familiar with the beginnings of Sound Mind, Sound Body, what gave you the inspiration? What got it all started? Kind of take us back to that.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that we did, and I really thank you, Sam, for your support and what you've done within our community and our support. You and Allen have been here from the longest, from the beginning to right now. So we just thank you all for your, your longevity within the game. We started off Sound Mind really just because the top athletes in Detroit were not going to college. And so we wanted to be a part of the solution and really helping those guys get the publicity they needed from having events like our camp to provide exposure, and then the focus on everything else outside of the football side. We knew that athleticism was something that they already had, and we couldn't change athleticism within a one-day event, but we could bring attention to our city, attention to our players, and then having information that could be imparted. And I think it's been a way to kind of infuse some life into Detroit football overall. And so it's really made it so that kids have to have a little bit of life skills and study hall in order to participate in Sound Mind, Sound Body. And that's sort of been our mantra for the last 19 years.
Yeah, man, it definitely takes a holistic approach to getting guys ready for the next level. So I'm about to put you to the test this early in the morning. I know you're tired, but give us some of the noteworthy Sound. I know all of the alums are noteworthy, but some of the names that people would know that came through Sound Mind, Sound Body.
Well, earlier in our first camps, we had Brandon Graham, Will Golston, Jonathan Hankins, Devin Gardner. Then you get up to guys like Joseph Barksdale. Then you have guys like Jordan Lewis, Delano Hill, Damon Webb, and Shane Morris, DeJuan Mathis, DeQuan Finn, Sauce Gardner, Will Johnson, Donovan Edwards. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. Guys who have been involved on multiple levels, whether they come to just the camp or they're in our 7-on-7 part, or they did everything. Guys like Jacob Oden, Jeremiah Beasley, they've been in here like from the cradle up until right now.
No doubt, man. And then you look around and we see college coaches going to these camps, right? You were at least as far as I know. Right. You started all of that. You were the first, right? So if I'm mistaken, correct me. But if you weren't the first, you certainly were one of the earliest. Take us back to that sort of epiphany you had, man. We can really get college coaches out to these camps.
Just working at the NCAA. So when I left college, I played football. I worked at the American Football Coaches Association, where I worked at Baylor got my master's degree, and then I worked at the NCAA. So when I came back home, I had a bigger view of what the landscape looked like nationally, and I had understanding of the NCAA, regulations and things that it took. And so I was really just on that sound mind tip, asking coaches not to come and recruit, but to come and really be speakers. And so because of that, we were able to do it. And when we started having coaches come to our camp, it wasn't really to recruit, it was really to speak. And Singletary and Leonard Haynes from Northwood were the first two guys to come through. And then Rich Rodriguez was coming out. And from there, it just really blew up.
It sure did. All right, we're about to go live over radio as well. So give us a few seconds to bring in the radio audience, and then we'll start talking about this great 7-on-7, and we'll bring Nick Marsh, one of the top receivers in the country, on as well to talk about his team's participation. So stay tuned.
Live on radio in 10. I'm back in 5, 4, 3.
And we are back, folks, here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTKA.com. Also streaming this morning on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter, because we have a special event that we're previewing. Folks looking for something to do in the summer. You're looking to get that football fix. You want to see some of the top prospects in this state. And also some of the top prospects in the country. You need to be down in Detroit, the 28th and the 29th. That is Wednesday and Thursday down at Wayne State. The Detroit 7-on-7 Showcase, brought to you by Sound Mind, Sound Body. Joining us to preview that great event is the 5th annual installment of that event is Allen Trieu from 24/7 Sports. Allen, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good, Sam.
We got to unmute Allen there. There we go. Go ahead. Good morning, Allen. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Good morning.
And then Curtis Blackwell, the man that started it all over at Sound Mind, Sound Body. Black, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, Sam. How's it going?
Doing great, man. So you guys do so many different things with Sound Mind, Sound Body, from your regular regimen of things that you do with the athletes to your travel team to this 7-on-7, the 5th annual installment of this 7-on-7. So kind of tell us about this year's version, some of the top teams, and get folks ready to get on out and watch some great 7-on-7 action.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for all you do for Detroit football and our community, all the coverage that you've been consistent with over the last 19 years. Today we're just talking about this 5th annual 7-on-7 showcase, and it's really an opportunity to put on for the city, to bring awareness to the top players, the top teams, and you'll get a chance to see the state champions, Belleville, King, and West De La Salle, and then you'll also see some of the top kids from some of the top programs like West Bloomfield, River Rouge, Cass Tech, Harper Woods. And so it's really a chance for everyone to kind of preview the top players and build some buzz around Detroit football in a time when there is no football taking place.
So, Allen, matchups, top storylines. I know there's a commitment set to take place from Jeremiah Beasley, who we were talking to this morning as well. Kind of just from your perspective as you look at this 7-on-7, kind of tell me what you're looking forward to the most.
Yeah, so for one thing, I think you're looking forward to seeing the next wave of guys come up, because in this 7-on-7, it's funny, this is year 5. I think year 1 or one of the first years, it was Dante Moore's first varsity experience. He was the 8th grader coming in, and that was when everybody started to say, hey, this is the guy that might be the next guy at King after DeQuan Finn. So that was the first time I ever saw Dante Moore really throw live and with King, was at this 7-on-7 event. He was still battling, I think, an older player at the time for the job. And so that's where I go to this event for, is to try to find that next guy that's coming up. Maybe hasn't played varsity yet. This is his first chance to kind of make a mark. And several guys have done that. I remember Jeremiah Caldwell doing that at Belleville before he became a big time recruit. They kind of pointed him out as this is our next guy coming up. So that's always the exciting part for me. And then seeing these teams go at each other. I mean, I think last year the West Bloomfield went against Cass, right, Kurt? And it was when Samaj Morgan kind of went off. And those guys, you think it's 7-on-7, they're not going to take it seriously. They take this extremely seriously. This gets very, very competitive. It is a fun spectator event, and it gives you a little preview as to what you're going to get during the season. But for me, it's that next wave of talent coming up.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, man, I think about that as well because I remember some years ago, and I get this from coaches all the time, whether it used to be Ron, whether it was Ron Bellamy or Rod Oden now at Harper Woods, or, you know, it could be any one of those coaches that will kind of tell you about the next ones that are coming up. Crowell over at Belleville would always be like, my next guy. Well, shout out to Corey Parker, who's at Toledo now, right? So known Corey for a while, and he was talking about this kid, Nick Marsh. Nick Marsh is going to be this. He's going to be a dude. He's going to be a guy. And you always, you know, you want to see for yourself, but you go in anticipating a guy being a guy, and he was right. He called it very, very well. They give him the nickname Megatron, and he looks like Megatron on the field. We're going to add Nick Marsh to the stream right now, joining us this morning. Nick, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing?
Doing great, man. So first things first, Rouge in this 7-on-7, kind of give us a preview of what your team looks like this year. What you anticipate is, you know, obviously this is your last hurrah as a high school player and getting ready for the season. What should we look forward to from you and from Rouge this season?
You can just look forward to me catching a lot of touchdowns this year. You know, just coming out there to make the team better. You know, we got a lot of guys that can make plays, and you know, we out here at practice right now. We actually, you know, putting in some work. So, you can just look forward to making a lot of big time plays and a lot of big time guys. You know, we got a lot of young recruits coming up. So, like I say, you can look forward to that next guy coming up.
So it's one of those things where, you know, we've kind of really watched you and Allen. I know you have. Curious your perspective on watching Nick come up as a prospect. We've really seen him blossom in this game, kind of rise to another level. Kind of give us a breakdown, kind of the scouting report, and then we'll get into talking about where he thinks he's improved the most.
Yeah, like you said, he was a known quantity before I even really got to high school. When he was in 7th, 8th grade, they were already talking about him with the Wolverines. Then he came in and made an immediate impact at River Rouge. You know, I think the moment that he kind of came on to the big stage was in the state title game against DeWitt, caught several touchdowns, made some great catches in that game. You talked about him having that Megatron nickname. He's a big physical receiver, but you have to be able to use that, and he does. He's really, really good at catching contested passes. It doesn't matter if it's in traffic, doesn't matter if there's a defender on him. If he has to go up over a guy, he's going to win a lot of those jump balls. But I think where he's really added to his game is the ability to separate, run routes. He's got great quickness and speed for a big guy. Went to the Under Armour camp last month and tested really well at his size. And really, I think has shown that he's more than just a jump ball guy. He's become a complete receiver over the last, 3 years that we've seen him.
Thank you, Allen.
So Nick, kind of give us an idea really quickly before we talk a little bit about matchups and your recruitment. Kind of give us an idea of where you think you've improved the most. Like, give us an update on your height, your weight, your 40, and where you think your game has advanced. Where have you improved the most so far?
Okay, 6'3", 200, run a 4.5 flat in the 40. Well, just going a little back of what Allen said, I think I've been working on, creating separation, getting more detail in my routes, getting in and out of breaks, improving footwork and speed. That's been the goal the last few months. After our basketball season, I've just been working on, getting faster. I ran a little track, ran the 200, the 100, PR'd in both, ran the 22.8 in the 200 and then like 11.2 in the 100. So, I'm just improving little by little and, just putting in the work to do it.
So the other thing is, obviously, you are one of the top prospects in the country, and your recruitment is a big storyline that people are going to be looking into as they come to watch you play. First of all, Black, let's just talk a little bit first about some of the matchups for Rouge. I don't know if you have the schedule in front of you right this second, but some of the matchups that people can look forward to that they can come out and watch Nick coming up here later this week.
Oh man, Rouge, man, they're gonna get a chance to battle against Cass Tech. They'll get a chance to go up against Orchard Lake St. Mary's. Looking forward to seeing AJ Marks, one of the top young defensive back prospects in the state of Michigan and even nationally here. We'll get a chance to kind of show, how well he goes. And a lot of times I tell people, you don't get a chance to control your high school schedule, so you don't see some of these matchups throughout the year. But, CJ Sadler on defense against Nick Marsh on offense will be another matchup you might be able to see as well.
So, Allen, I teased it a little bit already. It is this is a very intriguing recruitment for Nick. No Michigan State fans are very interested at the moment. So, what's the latest in his recruitment? I know you got some questions for him along those lines.
Yeah, well, I think he's got a decision set for July 7th. So we're getting close to that. We're into the dead period now, which I'm sure you and I are a little bit happy about. That we get a little bit of a break here, but respect to Nick for coming on early in the morning too, after finishing out an official visit at Michigan State. Nick, you were committed there at one time. What was the official visit like this past weekend? You've been up there a lot. Was there anything that stood out about your time in East Lansing?
It's just the consistent love, Michigan State was my first love as a college, and that love never went away. So that was one of the things that stood out to me during the visit. Just being able to have them one-on-ones with the head coach. Having one-on-ones with like a lot of people that I have a relationship there, and that's what stood out to me.
Another
school you're looking at is Kansas. We should talk about them because we have some Kansas commits coming on, and they have a lot of Michigan guys on their team right now and in their class. And some people listening might be like, Kansas, how did that happen? But Nick, what are they doing right in Michigan and in Detroit?
I mean, they like trying to build something. We got a lot of guys from our area, from the Detroit area, and I just considered that. I took that and maybe we can do something with that. And, that was one of my considerations. So I just been, keeping in communication with them, checking the roster, checking the recruitment, and just really looking into it.
So kind of handicap it for us. Who is it down to? And you got your decision coming up on the 7th. When it gets time to make that decision, what is it going to come down to?
You got Pittsburgh, Michigan State, Penn State, Kansas, and Oregon in the top 5 right now. So my decision going to come down to one of those schools.
And so when you get ready to make that choice, what are going to be the biggest factors, the most significant factors in that choice?
Just, being able to take care of my family, being developed, and, being somewhere where I love. I want to go somewhere where I can shine, build a legacy, and, just be somewhere where I can actually, have a name for myself.
Absolutely. Well, I got to tell you, Nick, it's been a pleasure to watch you grow up, watch you ball out. Looking forward to hearing your decision. Look forward to seeing you in this 7-on-7 later this week, man. Thanks a lot for your time.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Thanks a lot. So, Black, let's give the people some information real quick on, I've been saying Wayne State. I've been saying the 28th and the 29th, but give them some exact times as far as start time and then, where they can get tickets if they want to get them in advance. I know you're going to have a lot of food vendors out there, what they can eat on, what they can munch on while they're out there, kind of give them the full layout of what's going to be going on down there at your 7-on-7.
Yeah, and so I just want to give a shout out, man. He like a big homie to me, Tyrone Wheatley, and so he's the head coach at Wayne State. And so last years we've done this at Lawrence Tech, but we're trying to help support Coach Wheatley and what he do. We believe in supporting each other, and so Tyrone Wheatley is working his tail off to get Wayne State to just be as accommodating as possible. And Wayne State has answered his call, and so on Thursday and Wednesday and Thursday you'll have opportunities to kind of see the top players, have good viewing because the spacing is great with the bleachers there. Detroit Wing Company, Detroit Donut Depot, and we have Turkey Man, other good food vendors that'll be on site providing food. And then if you want tickets, you can go to SoundBodyAcademy.com, SMSBacademy.com, and we'll drop that on all the social media links. And look forward to just seeing everybody out. I know you got a long lineup of guys to talk to, but we'll keep texting and sharing all of the information for the event on social media. And so you can follow us at SMSB Academy on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok or Facebook if you want more information.
Gotcha. All right, Black. Hey, man, I know you're super tired, Appreciate you. A quick turnaround coming on early with us this morning. Appreciate it. We'll see you in a couple of days.
All right. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Allen.
I appreciate it. So, Ira, what do we want? If we can take a break or we can roll right through and get our next guest on. What do you want to do?
You want, Sam.
Let's go ahead and bring on Isaiah Marshall and get ready to talk about a young man that we've watched. This is another one we watched grow up, Allen. I mean, I remember us when Lawrence Marshall was an underclassman. So to see him as a coach now, to see Isaiah, I remember him bursting onto the scene as a freshman over there at Southfield, to see Aaron coaching. It feels kind of surreal that he's a senior now. Isaiah, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing great. So, Allen, I mentioned it before. We watched him grow up. So we're going to be coming full circle as we watch him in Southfield in the 7-on-7 this in a couple of days.
Yeah, and you said burst onto the scene as a freshman. But really, he was known well before that.
Yeah,
one of the most prolific youth and middle school players that's come through in recent years. Has won a bunch at that level. Had offers before he even got into high school, and sometimes it's hard to live up to that. But he stepped in right away and he did that. And so to see him develop over the last, and he really has developed. It's been really great to see him continue to change his game. Got on the track this year, is running sub 11 for those who haven't stayed up to date on the track results. He's been running in the 10.9s. And so he's really added a lot of dimensions to his game. And that's not by accident. That's something that he purposefully went out to try to do and did it.
All right. So Isaiah, let's get into your team, man. And then we'll talk about you individually. What can we expect from Southfield A&T this year?
I think you can expect. So I think we could be more disciplined this year. We bring back a lot of starters, so I think that's good. I think, well, of course, our goal is to go to the state championship, but we want to win each game first, so we want to take it step by step. But I think you're going to see a high-powered offense and a better defense than last year. So,
all right. And so when we talk about you individually, I know where we think you've improved, how we've seen your game advance. But what about you individually? I mean, if you're a coach or a scout in the stands, you're watching Isaiah Marshall on the field. Kind of tell us what you see, what we see.
I think y'all see. So my first year and a little bit of my second year, I wouldn't stay in the pocket a lot. Like I would leave the pocket a lot. So I think I improved on staying in the pocket and delivering the ball. So, and I also think I improved on my legs. I think I know how to use my legs now to help my team win. So, and just make plays out the pocket. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's Allen. We really watched it be, we've seen a lot of young men not be able to live up to that hype over the years. This is one that has. And so very, very noteworthy that we saw Power Fives from across the country come in, but ultimately we were just talking about Kansas, right? Kansas making this presence felt in this state here in the last couple of years.
Yes, they are.
So, Allen, I mean, kind of give us a feel for where you're seeing Kansas pop up, and then Isaiah, we'll get into why the Jayhawks were the move for you. But okay. Allen, feels like they're kind of stepping up around these parts.
Yeah, and if you go back a long ways, historically, Kansas has come into Michigan a little bit. They've had some waves here and there, but I think this new staff has really emphasized it. And that went back to what Lance Leipold was doing at Buffalo. There were a lot of Michigan guys that went over to Buffalo. Kari Jackson, probably the most notable of that group, but there's been a lot of Detroit guys over that course of time that he was there that they recruited. Chris Simpson, their linebackers coach, was at Grand Valley and then over at Buffalo. And so he has connections in the state of Michigan that have helped them. And they've gotten a lot of guys through the portal, guys like Kalen Gervin, Marvin Grant, and those guys have gone over there and done well. So I think part of it is that they've emphasized the state of Michigan. And I think part of it is that there are Detroit alums and Michigan alums who are over there doing well. I think the fact that those guys are thriving makes Kansas a more attractive option for some of the kids who are looking at them in the high school level.
So, Isaiah, you're a future Jayhawk now. What was it about Kansas that made you say that was the move?
So basically, it really felt like home. I built the best relationship there with the coaches. I think the offense fits me the best to get me prepared for the next level. So, and then just the culture, it just felt like home. I think they're building something very special. So I do want to be a part of that so I can change the the culture there. So, but I do think I think the offense that they run, it fits me a lot because they know how to use my legs and just use me as a quarterback. So
We're talking to Isaiah Marshall, quarterback, Southfield A&T, future quarterback for the Kansas Jayhawks, previewing the Detroit 7-on-7 showcase at Wayne State coming up in a couple of days, the 28th and 29th, Wednesday, Thursday, down in the D. Several of the top players in the state in action. So if you want some high school football action, that is the place to be. I'd be remiss if we didn't ask you before we let you go, Isaiah, sound mind, sound body, what being a part of SMSB is meant to you. And then I know we just had Nick Marsh on. You got to be a recruiter as a quarterback. You recruiting Nick?
yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
All right. So what is SMSB meant to you?
So what Coach Blackwell has done, just with the kids and me as myself, I think it's a great thing to do. Coach Blackwell is a great guy. I think he's a great coach. All the coaches there are great. I think me being there just made me a better person. So it's just great to be there. I wouldn't rather be nowhere else. I think it's the best for just anything. Just for anything.
Well, it certainly is the best when it comes to getting a chance to get a feel for the upcoming season, to get a feel for what some of the teams are going to look like. You get action started coming up in a couple of days on Wednesday down there. See the first pool starts at 1:00. So you can get out there and see some great 7-on-7 action to see, like I said, a lot of these top teams. Isaiah, I want to give you the opportunity to throw your recruiting pitch out to Nick. He just came off the visit to Michigan State. I mean, what are you telling him about coming to Kansas?
I'm telling him that, it's just me and him can build something great over there. So, and, we just got my teammate Jalen Todd. So, I think it's great for them to just compete every day. But, I think we're going to build something very great there. So, but I hope Nick chooses us, and I think it's the best option for him. So, I would love to play with Nick.
Gotcha. Well, right now, though, he's part of the opposition. We're looking forward to seeing Southfield A&T and what you guys bring to the table this year, man. Good luck out there in a couple of days. Good luck out there this season. And certainly we'll be checking for you in the future out there at Kansas.
Great talking to you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot. That was Isaiah Marshall, quarterback, Southfield A&T. So we're going to take a break on the radio. When we come back on the other side. So our next young man, I got a chance to see him for the first time. I was with you, Allen. You had seen him before me, but we were out at a camp, and Elijah Dotson was just, he's listed as a DB. I saw him ball out at receiver that day. You talk about one of the top rising talents in the state of Michigan, and this is one of the great things about a camp like this. And Michigan very much, all the in-state schools very much tracking him. So this is an opportunity to get out and see him. We'll talk to Elijah Dotson on the other side. Stay tuned for that here on the Michigan Insider, a special edition as we preview the Detroit 7-on-7 showcase on the other side here on Sports Talk 1050 WTK, The Ticket.
Clear on the radio.
So, Allen, as we're in the break and we get ready to bring Elijah on, have you gotten a chance to break down some of the matchups that you anticipate the most coming up here in the 7-on-7?
You know what? The matchups, not as much. I kind of just go in looking for the individuals, but there are definitely, let me pull up the schedule. There are definitely some that have the better matchups. King, Southfield, obviously. Southfield, Belleville, that's one of the nightcaps. That's going to be, that's probably the one I'm looking forward to the most on Wednesday. There's just so much, in 7-on-7, it's about skill talent.
Right.
So,
right. All the way.
Those teams have skill talent. You're going to see Isaiah Marshall, Jalen Todd, Southfield A&T has a receiver, a slot receiver named Juwan Jarrett that is really dynamic. People might not quite know about it, but Toledo commit, Tashi Braceville. And then you go on the other side, you've got Bryce Underwood and his whole complement of receivers. They've got several young defensive backs that are really big time. You're going to get to see Jeremiah Beasley in space. So that's, you talk about the quarterback matchup there, Isaiah going against Bryce Underwood. In 7-on-7, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that. King will be interesting. King's in their pool, and I don't think we have a great grasp on what they're going to look like yet post Dante Moore. And like I said, we were sitting there in the same position several years ago going, that's DeQuan Finn is going to be really hard to replace. And then Dante strolls in and does what he does. And so I'm interested to see kind of how they look I think it's a little bit of a transition time for them where they've won some state titles, but some of those guys are now graduated and moved on to college.
Yeah, man, you mentioned transitions. I mean, this is an interesting year when you consider West Bloomfield breaking in a new coach, Belleville breaking in a new coach. We get a chance to see those guys in their first forays on the sidelines with their teams. That's going to be pretty interesting as well.
Well, then Orchard Lake St. Mary's is the school that they were, when we were first kind of getting into this, I remember going over there and watching Deontay Allen and Sims, and we were at St. Mary's all the time. And there was maybe a little bit of a lull where they had some KJ Hamlers and guys like that. And I remember seeing Allen Robinson and Robert Bolden, but they have a really, really talented team coming up, and their staff's doing a great job. They're a school that I'm really looking forward to seeing they have some really, I think they just won or did really well at Michigan's 7-on-7. Well, Belleville won it, but I think Orchard Lake did really, really well. And they've got some big time young skill talent, including a 6'6" tight end that came over from basketball. That's going to be really good too.
Yeah. And look, you always look for your name guys. You look for the intangibles in them, but particularly those schools that are going to be breaking in new coaches. I mean, there's a lot more on the shoulders of the star players from those teams to really steward in a new era. That's the case for Bryce Underwood and Jeremiah Beasley at Belleville. Certainly Brandon Davis Swain, who we're going to talk to later on this morning. You're looking for that from him over at West Bloomfield. Man, you get a chance to really see the leadership skills of guys like that in a situation like this, right? Yeah,
and West Bloomfield's quarterback, Raquez Nance, he's been there for several years now, guy that we first saw at this event do well. But yes, it's going to be really important for those new coaches to lean on those guys. All right, we're about to come back from break, and we're going to bring you on, Elijah, so stay tuned.
Back on radio in 5, 4, 3.
And we are back, folks, here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTK.com. So we're talking about the Detroit 7-on-7 Showcase at Wayne State University coming up on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. You want to see some of the top teams in the state, featuring some of the top players in the state. This is a great opportunity for you to do so, to get on down and check out some of that action and see some of the names that you're going to know. Maybe you heard about, haven't seen before. That brings us to our next guest from UD Jesuit, Elijah Dotson. Elijah, good morning. How are you, man?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Glad to have you on. Appreciate you taking the time. And so first things first, for folks who aren't familiar with you, kind of reflect upon last season and tell us what's coming ahead this year from you and from UD.
Last year, I kind of came in like unknown, but I knew I was going to have a good season. So I just came in with that dog. Like I got to ball out and show everybody who I am. So I came in, I mostly played receiver all season. I played a little bit of DB. I had 2 interceptions. I had like 600 something receiving yards, 40 catches. This year I'm coming in playing more defense. So y'all gonna be able to see that side of me and the tackling and all that. So
yeah, see, that's the interesting thing, Allen. And so you're in the business of ranking guys and slotting guys. Sometimes you rank them at a position and maybe they don't play a lot. Sometimes you just put them as an athlete. So kind of give us the scouting report, because I mentioned I remember going to a camp looking for him to be DB, watch them do that, and then go over a ball out of receiver as well. So how do you see him, and what do the rankings say right now?
Yeah, so first of all, we have him ranked as an athlete, which we don't really like just throwing guys at athlete because it's a catch-all. We prefer to project a position because there's obviously nobody plays athlete on the field. You have to play one side or the other. So we don't like to just put too many guys at athlete. And there's so many guys around the country who can play both ways that it would be really easy to just put anybody that plays both sides of the ball as an athlete. Our criteria for that is you have to be able to equally do that projectably at the college level. And I think Elijah right now is a guy who you could recruit him at receiver, or you can recruit him as defensive back, and the schools will tell you that. And so that's why he's there for the moment. Now, as he grows over the next 2 years, maybe we would move him to one position or the other. But I think right now he's equally good on both sides of the ball. Schools are recruiting him on both sides of the ball. So that's why we have him as an athlete, one of the top 10 2025s in the state. And I think he's definitely earned that with his play and his performance in the offseason.
So Elijah, height, weight, 40. Where are you checking in? And then for folks who are coming to see you for the first time, give us an Elijah Dotson scouting report.
All right, so height 6'2", 175, 40 round, low 4'5" right now. And when you coming to see me, you're gonna see the dog. You're gonna see some fun out there, helping my teammates out. But it's gonna be a lot of fun and catches and defense, everything. You're gonna see everything from me.
So we know that recruiting is really picking up for you. How many offers are you up to now?
I'm at 12 right now.
You're at 12 offers, and
Sir.
really still early for you. But I'm curious, at this early stage of your recruitment, some of the offers that you got where you're like, man, like, I know they're all exciting, but were there any that you received thus far where it kind of just really made you kind of step back and smile and be excited?
Yeah, like the first one, that's always gonna be a big one. For the first one to be Power 5 for me, that was big. I'm like, dang, Pitt. So Pitt was my first offer, and that was big. Like that was shocking. Like out of all the schools, I wouldn't think Pitt would be the first offer, but and then Michigan, of course, that's one of the best schools in the country, athletic and academic wise. So to get that, it's like, dang, I got Michigan. Like the hard work is working, and then it's always the other schools too, but those ones that like stood out, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, man. So for folks who aren't following, this Elijah Dotson, class of 2025 from UAD Jesuit. List him as an athlete. He plays wide receiver. He plays DB. Tennessee's offered. Penn State's offered. We were talking about Kansas earlier. They came in and offered along with Pitt, Wisconsin. But you mentioned Michigan. I know Steve Clinkscale on you. So give us the vibe with Clink. And are they recruiting you fully at DB all the way, or is Michigan telling you athlete?
I think it's DB really because before they came. Well, I talked to them, but they didn't offer. But then Coach Clint came and watched me work out at the school at DB because we had a defensive day at school, a little off-season workout in the morning. And right after that, he offered me. So I'm like, oh, it's looking like DB for them for sure. So, yeah, me and Coach Clint have a good relationship, though. I talk to him every now and then. So
yeah. So what's the? I mean, did you grow up a fan of any particular school?
Little bit, but not. It wasn't really a fan. I kind of watched everybody.
I got you. All right. So visits to Michigan. You been down to Ann Arbor yet? I mean, what do you think of the Wolverines?
Yeah, I've been down. It was a couple months ago, and then I was supposed to go down again, but some family stuff came up, so I didn't end up going. But I'm going down, I think in July for the barbecue and the workout and stuff. So
got you. Any other schools, Allen, you've kind of seen as far as their interest level kind of be really on the rise with Elijah?
Yeah, so I have a question for Elijah, and this will bring it full circle with this being an SMSB event. The guy recruiting the area for Pitt, the coach recruiting the area for Pitt is Archie Collins, who we met as a high school coach. He brought Will Ghostlin and Jonathan Hankins up to the camp and then has worked his way up through the ranks to now being a college position coach. And so what's your relationship like with Coach Collins, Elijah?
Oh, I have a great relationship with Coach Collins. I've talked to him. I talk to him a lot. So me and Coach Collins, that's my guy. That's my guy for sure. We have a good relationship.
So we want to let you get to your regular daily routine. Just again, we're going to be checking for you at the Detroit 7-on-7 showcase at Wayne State Wednesday and Thursday. You want to see some great action, get on out down to Wayne State. You can see some great talent like Elijah. So as we let you go, Sound Mind, Sound Body, and what being a part of that organization has meant to you, Elijah, what would you say?
Really, I haven't really been with Sound Mind at all. Really, this is like my first time kind of being in with the organization and stuff. But I think it's a really nice organization. It's well prepared for the players and everything. So I think it's really nice, and I appreciate the opportunity to be on here. Thank you.
Got you. Well, we certainly will be looking out for you. Again, the Detroit 7-on-7 showcase coming up. Wayne State University will be the host. T-Wee, you knew you're going to see more local flavor with everything that they do down at Wayne State. This is another example of that. 7-on-7 showcase brought to you by Sound Mind, Sound Body, Wednesday and Thursday. Get on down and check it out. We need to get to a break. When we come back on the other side, when I say the name Xavier Newsom, Mr. Trieu, are we talking about, if I say number one at his position in this class, is it hyperbole? Am I putting the pressure on you? I mean, he's definitely highly ranked at the position, right?
Very highly ranked. Another guy, though, we say position, but tight end, edge rusher. I think that the door is open on both sides of the ball, but definitely very prolific.
Well, we are gonna bring you one of the Motor City's finest on the other side here. Stay tuned as we get deeper into the preview. The Detroit 7-on-7 Showcase brought to you by Sound Mind, Sound Body at Wayne State University, Wednesday and Thursday. You want to see some of the top prospects in the state? That's the place to be. We got to get to a break. Back on the other side here on Sports Talk 1050 WTK, The Ticket. We have Xavier ranked. Do we have him ranked as a tight end, Allen?
I think he is ranked as a tight end.
Let me pull that up. I should have done that already. So we pull that up right now.
Actually, I think we have him as an edge.
Have him as an edge. Yeah, man. Well, I guess we can bring him on a little earlier. Let's add Xavier Newsom to the fold. One of Detroit Kings' finest. Xavier, thanks for joining us this morning, man. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So I mentioned you as I was thinking about the number one tight end in America, but 24/7 has you listed as one of the top edge prospects in the country. Do you have a preference? Like, what do you consider yourself at this point?
I consider myself as a DN, but I feel like y'all go see me more on the tight end side this year. See what I can do.
Got you. Are you getting, as far as college interest is concerned, are you getting more interest at edge than tight end, or tight end and edge, or would you say it's kind of equal at this point?
Can you say that again?
I said, do you feel like you're getting more college attention from one position than the other, or is it about equal?
At college, they hold on, it's lagging a little bit.
Okay, I think it's kind of back you out a little bit.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So I was just wondering, are you feeling or getting more college interest at one position, at tight end than edge, or getting more college attention than edge than tight end at this point?
I'm getting more interest at edge than tight end.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
So as far as offers, I know it's early for you, like it is for Elijah, but how many offers are you up to at this point?
I have 13 right now.
13 offers. So again, it's early. Any of those schools kind of sticking out for you yet?
Michigan, U of M, yeah, they sticking out for me.
I got you. So we will certainly dig into that. Allen, when you look at King this year, kind of tell me what you see from T. Spence, what they have going on over there with the Crusaders.
Yeah, they're in the process, I think, of a little bit of it's going to be a reload, because people are going to ask, what are they going to do without Dante Moore? And there's some other guys like Kenny Merriweather, Messiah Blair. They're not graduated, but coming back with still a lot of young talent like Xavier. And so I think this is where we're going to start to see what King will look like. Those of us who haven't been in the building with them, haven't been in the practices with them, these 7-on-7s are going to give us a chance to see what this year's team looks like. All I know is anytime that they've needed to do that, like I mentioned before, we were asking, what are they going to do without Dennis Norfleet? They were fine. Right. What are they going to do without Donnie Corley? They were fine. What are they going to do without DeQuan Finn? They were fine. And so Spence and Terrell Patrick and those guys, they have such a great staff. They always find a way.
Shout out to my man, TP. All right, we got to get back. Tell me when we're ready.
Back on radio in 5, 4, 3.
And we are back, folks, here on the Michigan Insider Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTK.com. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook. We are live on Twitter, previewing the Detroit 7-on-7 showcase at Wayne State University, brought to you by Sound Mind, Sound Body. The 5th annual installment of this 7-on-7 had been at Lawrence Tech, but now they're doing it even bigger over at Wayne State as Tyrone Wheatley bringing a lot in-house, right? You know, we had the SMSB camp that we went to about a month ago, and now this 7-on-7 showcase. So really, really looking forward to it. And joining us right now, talk about his team's entry in there from Detroit King, Xavier Newsom. So Xavier, we were talking in the break, and Allen mentioned it. Dante Moore isn't there anymore. And so now people are kind of checking for you guys, like, who is it going to be? Who's going to step up? Who's going to kind of lead the way? Let's kind of tell people what they're going to see from King this year.
This year, they go see some stuff like unexpected because we got a quarterback now, and he gonna do his thing. We got the receivers. We really got everything. We just needed that one piece to put in. And on defensive side, they go see what's up because they say all our DBs left, but we got some stuff.
Right. And so, you know, the onus then gets put upon the team leaders as far as athletes are concerned, of which you are one. So for people who haven't seen Xavier Newsom, break down your game. What should we expect to see from you this season?
From this season, y'all should see like more explosiveness, more sacks. On the defensive side, more sacks, more tackles. And on the offensive side, y'all should see like more catches, more yards, more like blocking and stuff. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a fun season.
And so height, weight, 40, where are you checking in as far as your measurables are concerned?
I'm 6'5", 220. I run a 4.7 right now.
Got you. So Allen, as far as his recruitment is concerned, he mentioned Michigan, but there are certainly some other schools that are really checking for him at this early stage.
Yeah, and I think it's going to expand because I think he's going to have a really, really big year. Already had a good year last year, but I think, as you mentioned, with him stepping up as a junior, some of those guys now that have graduated and moved on, he's going to be counted on a lot more on both sides of the ball. So I think the offer list is going to look much different after this fall than it does right now. But we've mentioned some of these schools on the air already. Pitt has been extremely consistent within the state of Michigan. So they've offered. West Virginia has offered. Marshall, who has had a really good season, has offered. Schools like that have offered. Michigan is one of the big ones right now, though. And I know that they're a real factor in this recruitment.
So Xavier, you mentioned Michigan sticking out. I mean, we obviously see the Michigan sweatshirt that you came rocking here in the stream. So what is it about Michigan that has them standing out with you at this early stage of your recruitment?
Really, like when I was little, I used to like watch them play on TV and stuff. I used to bring back, and like ever since that's like been like one of the top 5 schools I've been wanting to go to. All that, like I've been watching Jarrell Peppers on them. I've been watching them for a minute.
Yeah, and so Coach Klink, I mean, what's the vibe like with Coach Klink so far?
Coach Klink, me and him got a vibe. I be calling him. We be chopping it up a little bit. We got a like good bond that we building.
All right, and so again, sound mind, sound body, obviously such a fixture in the D. So many athletes over the course of their high school careers come through that program. What has being a part of Sound Mind, Sound Body meant to you?
Being a part of Sound Mind, Sound Body is a true blessing because like they helped me with recruiting and all that. Because Blackwell, they helped me go, like they helped me. What's the name of the whole world? Like I've been to places I've never been, so like they really a true blessing to me. I really thank them.
Gotcha. And so what's up? We know you got the 7-on-7 here Wednesday and Thursday, but what does the rest of the summer look like for Xavier Newsom?
What'd you say?
I said, what does the rest of the summer look like for you?
Dang, I'm lagging again.
All right. Well, we got you. Well, look, here's what we'll do. because we appreciate you taking the time. I know that you're having some trouble there with the link up. But good luck in the 7-on-7 here Wednesday and Thursday. Good luck this season, Xavier, and we'll be checking for you down the line. Thanks a lot for your time. And so that was Xavier Newsom, who was with us, Allen. Your outlook for him as a prospect. I see a lot of buzz about him as a tight end, but he kind of regards himself seemingly more as an edge, at least at this point.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, this is going to be the season where it really picks up. He's a top 247 guy, 4-star guy already. Had a good season last year, but I think there's still so much meat left on that bone. And you know, we talked about some of the guys they're losing, Kenny Merriweather and Messiah Blair on the defensive line. You're losing some pieces on offense like Jameel Croft. That's where I think you're going to, and Sterling Anderson and guys like that. So that's where I think they're going to use a big tight end more, I think, on the defensive side of the ball. He's the leader on the defensive line. I think he's going to have a huge year. So I think you've only just started to see him scratch the surface of what he can do. You know, we have him ranked as an edge, and you forget that a little bit because we're in 7-on-7 season. So he's been traveling with them and playing more tight end. And he can do that equally well. So that's another guy when we talk about athlete where, you know, I could see us shifting that to tight end if he has a huge year there. But right now, I think school's it's so much harder to find 6'5", 220-pound guys that can get to the quarterback. I think there's a premium for guys who can do that.
All right. So look, I know you're going to have to cut out at about 8 o'clock. So I'm going to ask you about a few guys here really quickly. Coming up on the other side, we're going to be talking to Jeremiah Beasley and Bryce Underwood from Belleville, folks. So stay tuned for that. Do want your thoughts on Jeremiah's recruitment here. But a youngster that we're going to talk to a little bit later in the hour from Harper Woods, a name that folks need to be checking for. But Dakota Guerrant, kind of tell us about him, Allen, the early kind of talk about him, the early buzz about him. What can you say about Dakota?
Yeah, so you always hear the early buzz, like you said, and then you never know until you see it yourself. We'd heard about him. Knew that he was going to be probably an early offer guy and one of the top players. But then it was actually in Ohio where I saw him first. He went to a raw talent event, and there were some really good young DBs there from Ohio, and he was excellent in the one-on-ones. And I remember them saying, well, I said, who is that? And they said, oh, that's Dakota. And so that was the first chance for me to kind of put a name to a face. And then eventually he went and, you know, he got a Michigan offer. And so he's definitely one of the top up and coming guys in the state. And he's proven it at a couple of events already. So that's one where so far the early returns are matching the talk and the hype.
Yeah. And so, man, Bryce Underwood, you talk about early returns matching the hype. Man, I remember what we were saying about Dante. Make no mistake. And Dante lived up to the hype. Absolutely lived up to hype. No question about it. But Allen, I said something a couple of weeks ago that I had to qualify as this is not hyperbole. I think when I look at this kid, and I use kid lightly because he doesn't look like a kid when you watch him walk up. But I think Bryce Underwood is the best quarterback talent to come out of this state since Drew Henson. You think that's hyperbole?
I don't think so at all. I'd have to really think about it, but I think off the top of my head, that is not hyperbole. Like, that's a perfectly reasonable stance. And I mean, just look at what he's accomplished. First of all, how many guys have kicked down the door and come in as a freshman and a sophomore and put up the numbers he's had, won National Player of the Year, won state titles, and done it in the way that he's done it. And then you add in the scouting piece of it, of him as a prospect, the physical upside. I think that's the scary thing, is he's not even as good as he can be. So he's not even close to topped out. And so when you look at that, I think it's a combination of he's one of the best players to come through this state already, and he's one of the best prospects, because that's two different things. He's a great player, but he's also a great prospect because there's still so much room there. Like we say this all the time, but he really, I think, has limitless upside.
As far as recruiting is concerned, we obviously look at things a lot from Michigan's perspective, but this is clearly a national. Michigan and Ohio State, we get a lot of talk around here, but man, you got the SEC all over Bryce too.
Yeah, I think he was just at LSU, and I think they're a real factor in the recruitment. That's the out of state, out of region program that I would have my eye on the most right now. But I know he's been through some other schools, Alabama, Georgia, USC, all of the ones that you would expect just to say a top prospect. Who are they going to look at? He's looking at, but I think LSU right now is the one that has his attention most of the outside the Big Ten footprint schools.
Yeah, man. Definitely one that Michigan and Kirk Campbell, the job he's done, they were out of that. They were out of that race, were they not? I tell people that all the time. Michigan had zero chance at Bryce Underwood before the change of quarterback coach. That's not hyperbole, is it? Either, is it?
I don't believe so. I don't want to speak for him, but I don't believe so. All I know is this: Kirk Campbell has raised their chances significantly. Whether or not that's from 0 or it was from 1% or 5%, it was low, and he has definitely helped raise those chances.
All right, and I know you got a scoop. So when we come back from the break, I'm going to be talking to Jeremiah Beasley. So first, Jeremiah as a talent who we've been watching for a long time now. And then what you're hearing about Jeremiah's recruitment. Yeah,
another guy, came through that Southfield Falcons program. We should give them a shout out because a lot of the guys we've already had on, including Isaiah Marshall and guys you're about to have on, have come through that program. Just a really, really one of the best youth programs in the country. And so kind of first heard about him from there. Was a track guy, an athletic guy. Crowell was always saying this is one of our next guys. He's lived up to that hype. Really outstanding running back last season as well. That was where I think was really impressive and where he moved up in the rankings also, because linebackers have to be so multiple now and so athletic and be able to stay on the field for 3 downs. So you want a guy who has an offensive background. He was really a standout tailback for Belleville last year. Also super physical guy, former AAU track guy. So he can run, I think, maybe better than people also know, because he went through a knee injury, rehab, came back, and you see that speed and explosiveness now fully back with Jeremiah.
All right. So, Allen, like I said, man, I know you got a scoop. Appreciate your time. I guess if there are any parting shots, anything you want people to look out for as far as coverage or storylines coming out of the Detroit 7-on-7 showcase.
No, I mean, I just have to say that this whole operation of Sound Mind, Sound Body has come such a long way. And you and I were in the dorms at Wayne State. I stayed overnight in there. So to go from that, now they're the Dominican Republic. It really is one of a kind. It was innovative. You mentioned how it kind of ushered in that period of satellite camps, and the idea that these big schools would show up to a Division II school as satellite coaches and to be able to look at players. That really started. Now it happens all over the place. You have the big Mercer showcase. You have a bunch of Lindenwood. You have a bunch of things that I think Sound Mind, Sound Body pioneered the way for. And the side thing of another big piece of that is that educational side. It was really cool to see. One of the stories I always remember is, do you remember Thomas Gordon?
Yes.
Getting pulled up in front of the whole auditorium, and they said, "What is your goal?" And at the time, I think he had 2 MAC offers.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "What do you want to accomplish in the next few months?" And he said, "I want to go to Michigan with Will Campbell and Tarek Jones."
And he got it.
That happened. And it was like a couple weeks later. That's one of the real stories that I'll always remember from Sound Mind, is him saying that and doing it.
Thomas Flash Gordon, one of the great dudes, fighting ALS. And so, as you mentioned him, get a little emotional about that young fella. I remember that. So definitely keep him in your prayers. If you're you don't have to be a fan of Michigan. You can be a fan of just Detroit football. Just praying for people. If that's something you do, definitely pray for him. Keep him and his family in your prayers there, Thomas Gordon. But Allen, appreciate your time. Man, I'll see you out there on Wednesday, and we will be checking for one Mr. Jeremiah Beasley. He is the next one up and is an absolute thumper, one of the top linebackers in not just the state, not just the Midwest, but the country, and has been for some years running now. So looking forward to chatting with him. Allen, get on out of here, man. Well, I'll see you in a couple days.
Sounds good. Appreciate you having me, Sam.
All right. Thanks a lot. Folks, we got to get to a break. When we come back on the other side, we will be joined by one of Belleville's finest, Jeremiah Beasley, going to join us here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, The Ticket, Ann Arbor, a Cumulus station.
Clear on the radio.
All right, so let's go ahead and bring Jeremiah in here really quickly, and then we will go live on the air with Jeremiah. So first things first, let's add him to the stream. Jeremiah Beasley. Good morning, young fella. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Hey, Jeremiah, how you doing this morning?
You can hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I
Yeah,
got
I'm
you.
good.
How
How
you
you
doing?
doing?
Doing great, man. So you're coming off of that Missouri visit.
Yes,
Inquiring minds want to know, man, what was Mizzou like?
It was nice. It was nice. That was my second time down there, so it was a good experience.
Yeah, so kind of tell me, because I've been hearing a lot of buzz about the Tigers and their recruiting, their recruiting prowess and their activity here in the state of Michigan. What is it about Mizzou that was appealing to you? What can you say about the kind of job they were doing on the recruiting trail?
They came on a little late in my process, but when they came on real strong. Told me I was their number one guy, so that was a big thing for me. They hit me up every week. It wasn't like nothing real inconsistent, so that was a big thing.
Got you. All right. So Michigan State, I know you took that visit up east last week. We all know the storyline, big bro up there as well. Part of that recruiting pitch, a chance to play with your big brother. What was that visit like?
It was good. He was I asked for him to be my host. I got to chill with him for a little bit because I ain't chill with him for like a weekend in a while. So it was real cool. He went out and stuff. So I had a good time.
Yeah, man. It goes without saying, watching you come up has been a real pleasure and kind of making me feel old. Ira, you've been talking about how old I am. Been going to Sound Mind, Sound Body for 18 years. But that gives us an opportunity to see guys like you really, really come up, Jeremiah. So when we talk about your game, man, I mean, I feel like everybody's seen you play at this point, but different challenge for you this year, as this will be the first season without Coach Crowell on the sideline. So talk about how you've improved and advanced as a player, and then B, let's talk about Belleville and kind of you and Bryce and the other leaders of that team, how the leadership perch is a little bit different because Coach Crowell isn't on the sideline anymore. But let's talk about your growth as a player. Where will we see the biggest improvement in you this season?
I feel like this year the biggest improvement with me would probably be my leadership skills. Like going out there, putting on for my team, getting my young guys right, and I feel like I'd be more explosive this year. I was kind of explosive last year. I feel like I could be more explosive on certain plays and stuff, moving faster off the ball and stuff. So that's a big thing.
So last year was just kind of explosive.
Yeah, I feel like I had. Yeah,
that's kind of. Hey, I don't know if you folks have seen this dude play. Kind of explosive is busting dudes on both sides of the ball. Like, he definitely feel you as a thumper as a linebacker, but I mean, at running back, we kind of really felt you as well. Should we expect to see more of that from you this season?
I feel like me and Kobe Reeder, the running back, I feel like we're the best running back duo in the state. So I feel like right now combined, I feel like we'll probably rush for 3,000 yards combined, something like that.
I got you, man. So any of these schools, like you do, you try to get into the recruiting pitches of these coaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any of these coaches saying, hey, you know what, Jeremiah, we like you as a linebacker, but we'll hand you that rock too a little bit. Anybody talking to you about offense?
All the three schools that I've been talking to for, they throw that in, sometimes it's a joke, sometimes it's serious. So it's real cool when they do that.
So a joke to them, but is it serious for you?
It's kind of serious for me. It's not like a deal breaker, but it's something that I would like to do. A lot of people don't do that.
So listen, I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to talk to Bryce about this as well. You guys had to go on that run last year without Coach Crowell, so it's not like this is new, right? So you guys have played games, big games, without him on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're on your second head coach since Coach Crowell left. So the leadership, man, I mean, you talked about stepping that part up. Have you kind of felt that? Is that weight? Is that pressure? Or is it coming easy to you?
It's a little pressure. Everybody looking towards me and Bryce, to say something, pick the team up and stuff. Some days me and Bryce might have an off day, but, we talk to each other. We can't be down. I mean, the whole team going to be down. So it's more just picking each other up sort of in a positive way so the whole team positive.
Got you. Ira, how much more time we have left in this break?
About 15 seconds.
Gotcha. All right. So we'll be coming back. Let me pause right here, Jeremiah, and then we'll go live on the radio as well.
Okay.
Back on radio in 5, 4, 3.
And we are back, folks, here on the Michigan Insider Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTKA.com. If you've been listening this morning, you know we are previewing the Detroit 7-on-7 Showcase, brought to you by Sound Mind, Sound Body. Will take place at Wayne State University. Feels like, you know, the in-state events, that's where they've been. Tyrone Wheatley really stepping up Wayne State's commitment to the state, to the top players in the state, and keeping those guys home. And so looking forward to getting back down on their campus for 7-on-7 action Wednesday and Thursday. If you're looking for some high school football action, you're looking for that fix, looking for some top players in the state, that's where you want to be on Wednesday and Thursday. That's where we'll be with 24/7 Sports. So hope to see you out there. Joining us right now to look ahead to the 7-on-7 and talk a little bit about his recruitment from Belleville High School, Belleville linebacker Jeremiah Beasley. So Jeremiah, we already talked about a lot during the break. What we didn't talk about was your Michigan visit. So let's rewind the tape, not to last weekend, but to the weekend prior. Take me to that Michigan official visit. There was some question about whether you would take an official. You wind up doing that. What was it like?
It was real nice. You know, I ended up going the weekend, you know, that all the commits was there. Jacob told me to come that weekend. I was thinking about coming a different weekend. So, but when I came down there, you know, all the commits showed me love and everything. That was a good visit. We went paintball and all types of stuff. So it was like a real cool day.
So tell me about the vibe with Coach Partridge, CP. What's it felt like when he jumped in there, man? It felt like you immediately were at the top of his priority list. Did you feel that? And what was it like to kind of vibe with him over the course of that visit?
You know, every time I get up there and talk to him, you know, I can tell him at the top of his priority list. You know, we sit down, watch film, go over stuff. You know, he's real intelligent, so that's a big thing for me where I can have a position coach that have been at the next level and can get me to the next level.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Coach Klink, right? So when we talk about recruiting the D, we're talking about Coach Klink. I know he's a dude you've known for a long time. So what's that relationship like?
You know, I knew Klink since he was at Kentucky. So, you know, he's been big in recruiting Michigan players and stuff. You know, he keep it real. You know, it's like an uncle to me. So,
all right. So decision in a couple days, Jeremiah. Now, I'm not going to ask you to tell me what you're going to do, but I am going to ask you, what is it going to come down to? You know, assuming that you haven't made your mind up already. When you get ready to make up your mind, what are going to be the biggest factors in that choice?
Well, I feel like my top three things is like, you know, playing early, education, and, you know, having a team around me to where I can win. You know, I ain't trying to lose every game.
So would you say, coming off of that Missouri visit, did it make it harder? Did it make your decision harder? Do you kind of feel like you know where you're leaning? I mean, kind of if you're not going to tell us what you're doing, can you kind of handicap it for us? How do you feel coming off of that Missouri visit? Are you more or less kind of feeling like you know where you want to go?
I feel like I'm leaning towards the place. I feel like I know where I'm going right now. You know, it's just a matter of talking with my family and everything. But I feel like in my head, I got a place where I want to go.
All right, so let's talk about Belleville this season because we're about to hand it off to your quarterback, who's I'm always interested in a scouting report of one player to the other. So give me a scouting report on Bryce. When you watch Bryce Underwood, what do you see?
You know, I watch him from like the side because, you know, we always in the backfield together. You know,
Right.
He unreal passing, running. A lot of people don't know he can run. He's one of the fast people on our team. So he real quick, can run. He precise with his passing, all that. So I just feel like he a 5-star across the board for real.
Yeah, man, and leadership. I mean, look, last year he had already done it, right? He had already quarterbacked you guys to a state championship. But for a freshman, you remember what that was like when he walked in there? Was it one of those things? Was he timid coming in the door, or did he come in assertive from the jump?
I feel like he came in about his business. You know, we had times, like, as that was my first year playing high school football, you know, we had times where, you know, it kind of got a little bad, but, you know, we picked each other up. So that was like a big thing for us. And I feel like he came in there about his business, though, for real.
And then, of course, I'd be remiss, like I've been saying with all these guys, sound mind, sound body, Jeremiah, and what that organization has meant to you, your development, your recruitment. What can you say about SMSB?
It's meant everything to me. I've been in Blackwell since 6th grade. I was with him when I got my first offer from Austin Pay. So it's been a big thing in my life. He's been with me through my whole recruiting process, 7-on-7, all that. So it's been a blessing.
Well, Jeremiah, man, I can't wait to see what you have in store this season. Certainly can't wait to cover your announcement. Can you lay out exactly when you're going to be announcing on Wednesday? Because I know a lot of folks are going to want to be either be there or be watching for it online. So what time will you be announcing your decision on Wednesday?
I will be announcing my decision at around 7 p.m. On Wednesday.
Right. 7 p.m. on Wednesday. He said he thinks he knows where he wants to go, but still has to talk it over with his family. So again, we will certainly be tracking it on 24/7 Sports. Obviously, wherever you go, man, we're going to be checking for you where you wind up. So appreciate your time, Jeremiah. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you in a couple of days. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, that's Jeremiah Beasley. So we go from one Belleville star to another Belleville star. And look, I don't say this lightly because I've seen a lot of great talent come through this state. In my time, I've seen a lot of great talent come through SMSB. Most recently, Dante Moore. And Dante is for real. Make no mistake, he was for real from his freshman year. So when I say our next guest is the best quarterback talent I've seen in almost 30 years, right? Before I was covering recruiting, right? When I was, going to Michigan, Drew Henson was the best thing I had seen. And this next young fella is the best thing I've seen since. And that is Bryce Underwood from Belleville. So, Bryce, good morning. How are you, man?
Good morning. I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, man. So, a lot to talk to you about. Reflect for us on stepping into a situation at Belleville as a freshman. And you got a loaded team.
Yes, sir.
You got a team with championship aspirations. How did you handle that from a leadership perspective? I mean, was that a challenge for you? Take us back to that moment.
Honestly, I feel like my freshman year, it was all about getting the seniors' trust, honestly, because that was the main players that was on our team. So with that, it came with hard work after practice, practicing with the receivers outside of practice, get to know the playbook better than anybody on the team so they can have trust in me and knowing what I'm doing and stuff like that. So it took a lot of sacrifices with that as well.
So you got to get that from somewhere. Like, you got to learn that. Someone has to teach you what you have to do to be a leader. So where did you get that from? Like, who kind of coached you up on how to be a leader?
I would say most of the coaches on the coaching staff and also my dad as well. Because I had to go through it. Like, I was like the new fish in the water, you feel me? So like when I first got in there, oh yeah, who is this? Who is this? Like, all right, bet, cool. I'm gonna show you who I am. So that was the main thing going into it. And then I had to be a leader as well, even though they didn't want to hear nothing from a freshman for sure. But also they had to figure out who to learn, who to hear, listen to, learn from, stuff like that. So
right. And so clearly a lot of success has followed. And the challenge last year was to defend your title.
Yes, sir.
But then the challenge got magnified when obviously Coach Crowell is taking off the sideline. So that moment, man, the leadership goes to another level. What do you remember about that? Was that for you as a leader, did it intensify the challenge, or did you just handle it with no issue?
It will always be a challenge throughout the season. Our biggest challenge was losing our head coach, honestly, and staying on track, being us, just get another state championship. And all it took was being a player-led team, honestly, stuff like that. And won't let nothing affect us, letting us all stay on track, letting us all stay together, stuff like that. So that was our main challenge throughout that whole season. So
yeah. So let's talk about where your game is now, and then we'll get a few words on recruiting. But you've done so much already. I mean, I look at you physically, you look like an NFL quarterback right now, right? So So, I mean, the physical part we can really see. I really see your mechanics look like they're tighter. From your perspective, where would you say you've grown? Where would you say you've improved the most from last season until now?
Do it matter physically or mentally?
You go both.
All right. I say more of a leader, honestly. Not having Coach Crow or stuff like that, having to figure out our new coaching staff. So it was just a big task on me just to have our team together, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I say physically, I say I got a little bigger, stuff like that. So I weigh about 216, 217 now. So yeah.
Yeah. Jeremiah said you one of the fastest guys on the team.
Yes, sir.
Man, all right. Still, when you get out to the 7-on-7, we're talking about the Detroit 7-on-7 showcase, Wayne State University, Wednesday and Thursday, brought to you by Sound Mind, Sound Body.
Yes, sir.
There are going to be a lot of impressive athletes out there. But even when you are on the field, like you just walking down the sideline, like you can spot Bryce Underwood. Like, oh, that's a dude right there. He's one of those guys, right? That's a dude. All right, so recruiting wise, you're coming off that LSU visit. What was it like down there in the Bayou?
It was a lot of love being shown out there, They wanted me out there pretty badly and had to get out there. So it was a great time. Great food, great weather. You don't get a lot of bad weather out there in Baton Rouge. So it was a pretty good experience.
And so who's recruiting you there? What are your impressions of Coach Kelly? And who's like your primary recruiter for LSU?
My primary recruiter is Joe Sloan, the quarterbacks coach. He's been on me pretty hard since my freshman year. So, yeah, for sure. And Coach Kelly, I feel like he's a great coach. Laid back, get his guys to the NFL or whatever their dreams would be after football, stuff like that. And they keep a great relationship outside of football as well. So,
a couple other national institutions I want to ask you about real quick. Alabama. See the photos of you, floating around with the Crimson Tide, and then Ohio State. I know you took a visit to O State recently. So what can you say about the Crimson Tide and the Buckeyes?
I'll say University of Alabama. I just got back yesterday morning, about 3:30 in the morning. So I'll say it was a great experience. Coach Tommy Reese from Notre Dame. He's the new quarterbacks coach, the coordinator at University of Alabama. And also, he's been recruiting me since I was in eighth grade, watching me since I was in eighth grade, stuff like that. So it's a great relationship that I have with him as well. But Nick Saban, self-explanatory. Great guy for sure. Mm-hmm. But
and then
Ohio State, we got Ryan Day, Corey Dennis. Corey Dennis is my main recruiter from Ohio State, stuff like that. He's been on me a lot, horrible recruiter for sure. But Ryan Day, great coach for sure. Very great aggressive guy that's going to push you to where you want to be at as well. So it's a lot of great for sure.
All right, so I know you were back in Ann Arbor. It feels like you're in Ann Arbor a lot these days. But this time it was for the 7-on-7, man. And everything I heard was Bryce over here killing it again. I mean, everywhere you do, every time you show up someplace and they put the football in your hands, you kill it.
Yes,
but what about Michigan? I've been saying, man, the reason why they're in your recruitment, obviously Klink kept them involved, but it felt like they were out until Kirk Campbell came on the scene. So what can you say about Michigan in your recruitment at this point?
Michigan has possibly, Coach Campbell, probably one of the main reasons why I'm still in the Michigan, honestly. So, and also with Coach Klink, I've been talking to him since he's been at Kentucky, stuff like that. Same thing with Jeremiah said, it's like an uncle to me as well. Been showing a lot of love since I was in eighth grade. Eighth grade, before any high school snap, any high school was to ever decided, he been, oh yeah, Bryce, we need you. So it's been a great ride. Deal with Coach Klink and now with Coach Campbell as well. Two great coaches.
And I gotta ask, so I talk to your pops a lot, and he's like, hey man, you talk about Coach Klink, you talk about Coach Campbell, and I get it, but you need to be talking about Coach Herbert. So what about Ben Herbert? What do you think about Michigan's strength coach?
Oh man, every time I go up there, literally aggressive. Like, oh yeah, you ready? Big, you ready to commit? Like, all right, yeah, you know what? Like, so yeah, it's a great time with him as well. Talk to him every single time I get there. Tell him what he sees. Tell him if you see my strengths, weaknesses when it comes to the weight room, physical stuff like that. So
got you. So let's kind of start to wrap things up because we got other guests that we got to get on. Just kind of look down the line for me, Bryce. You know, do you have an idea of when you're going to want to make a decision? Is it going to be your senior year that you wait until? And then when you do that, whenever that is, now that you've been some places, you know what you're looking for. What do you think it's going to come down to at the end?
I would say me playing early. I would say me having a full starting job my sophomore year. Like, you feel me? Like, that's tough for a quarterback, but the best has done it for sure. And I feel like I'm one of the best to ever do it in the Michigan period. So I feel like I can get the job done in college, even get some snaps in my freshman year, start the end of my freshman year. That's what I'm looking for. So for sure.
And timeline, you're a senior year guy. You're before that. What are you thinking along those lines?
When I'm committing wise?
Yeah.
I would say I'm January 6th, going into this January 6th that's coming up.
This January 6th coming up. And what's the significance of January 6th?
That's my great-grandmother that passed away November 6th. Her birthday is January 6th, so that's the day I want to commit her. Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Well, we appreciate your time, man. Looking forward to seeing you do your thing again. You never disappoint. So good luck out there in the 707. And good luck this coming season, man. Bryce, thanks a lot for your time.
All right, no problem. Same to you.
All right, that's Bryce Underwood. He's box office. Dude's box office. You're gonna get a show every time you see Bryce Underwood, guaranteed. Best dude I've seen from this state since Drew Henson. And I think you got anyone who's listened to me knows that Drew Henson is the best. He's that dude as far as high school quarterbacks from this state. And you know what I think about Dante. You know what I think about Devin Gardner. I mean, there have been some ball players that have come through here. But, man, this dude's different. This dude's different. So he gave you a lot there. He gave you a date. I hadn't seen him give a date for his commitment. He gave you what it was going to come down to. Hadn't heard him say that. So you got a lot there, right? You're going to get a lot if you make it out to the Detroit 7-on-7 showcase at Wayne State University Wednesday and Thursday, site of one of the best 7-on-7s you'll see. And you'll see a lot of the top prospects in the state, including Bryce Underwood. We're going to take a break. We come back on the other side. We're going to give you some Harper Woods flavor, right? You go and you see Rod Oden's program, always going to be one of the top programs in the state, where we're going to talk to a couple of the top players from that program on the other side. Stay tuned for that here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, The Ticket.
Clear on the radio.
All right. So ahead, and we're going to double box this one, Ira. We're going to bring on Dakota and Jacob together. Let's bring them on together and kind of start talking to them a bit. We break it down and get folks ready for what they will see from Harper Woods this coming season. Jacob, what's up, man?
What up?
How you doing?
I'm good, you?
I'm doing great, man. Good to see you. And for the first time making his debut with us. I said, man, they get younger and younger, Ira. What would you say if I told you we were talking to a young fella from the class of 2027, Mr. Weintraub? You already felt old, right? You already felt old over there?
It's only 4 years until my kid's class, Sam.
Class of 2027. Am I saying your last name right, Dakota? Dakota
No,
Guerrant?
you're not saying it right. It's Guerrant.
Guerrant.
Yeah.
All right, so hey, man, let's get it right. Because I feel like we're gonna have to say your name a lot in the coming year. So Dakota Guerrant. And so for people who haven't seen you play, tell them what they're gonna see when they watch you on the football field this season.
You're gonna see explosiveness, elusiveness, making big plays, everything. You're gonna be excited watching me.
Yeah, man. Well, look, it sounds like they were excited about you in Ann Arbor here recently, right? So take us through that experience that you had over there.
Yeah, it was just good. They had good talent up there. I'm competing against great talent, competing in front of Coach Klink, that's my guy. just dominate against older competition, you know.
So your height, your weight, and your 40, where would you say you're checking in at right now?
6 foot, 170, around like 5'6". 4'6", 4'7".
Now, look, we list you as a wideout. Coach Klink is,
D-back coach.
Yeah, he's a D-back coach. So anytime, look, he recruits more than DBs. But anytime he recruits a skill guy, I always think, he's trying to get that dude to come in and play DB. So,
yeah, DB. That's where I want to be at, you know.
That's where you want to be at?
Yeah.
All right. So is that where, I know you got some early offers. Is that where all the early offers are for DB?
Yeah, DB.
All right. So give us a scouting report on Dakota Guerrant as a defensive back. What will we see?
You're gonna see me in and out my breaks, attacking the ball, high point, locking down. You're gonna see everything.
So Jacob, I rely on you. We don't just rely on you to give us the word on what's going on in Michigan recruiting, but I trust your eye. I trust your eye for talent. You're the son of a coach, right? You're a top DB yourself. So do this for me. Kind of put together in your mind a scouting report on Dakota. All right. I'm gonna give you a couple seconds to get it right. And then when we come back on the air, I'm gonna have you give us a full scouting report on your young teammate here, Dakota Guerrant. So stay tuned for that. Give you a pause, give you about 10, 15 seconds, and then we'll get to it.
I got you.
All right, back on live radio in 5, 4, 3.
And we are back, folks, here on the Michigan Insider Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTKA.com, talking about the Detroit 7-on-7 Showcase presented by Sound Mind, Sound Body at Wayne State University, coming up Wednesday and Thursday. So if you want to see some great high school action, if you want to see the top prospects in the state of Michigan, several of them anyway, that's where you want to be, right? So tickets are affordable, great food vendors going to be out there. I'm a huge fan of Detroit Wing Company. They're outstanding. They have locations. They had a Detroit Wing. How about this, Mr. Weintraub? They had a Detroit Wing Company when we were up in Traverse City for Wolverine weekend. There was a Detroit Wing Company up there. Had to order it. Detroit Wing Company in Ann Arbor. Obviously, Detroit Wing Company in the D. So definitely get some of those if you're going to be at the 7-on-7 coming up here Wednesday and Thursday. But joining us, a couple of prospects from Harper Woods. Rod Oden's program does a great job over there. Rod, one of the best high school coaches in the country. And so one of his young up-and-comers, Dakota Guerrant, is with us. We were talking to him in the break, and we'll talk more to him coming up. And then his son. He said he didn't push him to Michigan. He said he was impartial. But Jacob Oden, was Pops really impartial during your recruitment?
Most def. He was. I ain't even gonna lie to you. He was.
He was.
Yeah.
What I know about Rod Oden, we were at Michigan at the same time. He a diehard Michigan fan, but he sent guys all over the country, right? I mean, he's Iowa, Michigan State, all over. He sent guys, but I know he probably was doing cartwheels when you committed, man. Did you notice? I mean, did you see a tear come from his eye when you committed to Michigan?
Yeah, he was a little excited when I did. I would say that, but you know how he is.
All right, man. So I gave you a little homework during the break. I said, give us a scouting report on Dakota Guerrant. So you're a veteran, you're a DB. Break down your young teammate right here.
Well, he my cousin, so he got a little trace from me, you know. So, like, I would say he's a big athletic guy for a freshman. He's 6 foot. He can move. He can do all that. He's versatile. He can play any position in the defensive backfield. He pretty fast. He got the ball skills. As you can see, if you go on Instagram, all you see is some snagging stuff out the air on Instagram. You feel me? So he got it all. So I feel like he's going to be great in high school. He's going to be highly recruited. He's going to have every offer you can have. So that's what I got to say about Dakota.
So tell me about Jacob Oden. We've watched you for years. We've watched you since, before you were Dakota, even before Dakota's age. So where are you in your progression? Where is Jacob Oden better as a player now?
I would say as a player, I'm more sharp. So I'm tuned in on a little stuff now. Now I'm committed, and I'm not going on visits to like take pictures or like watch practice. I'm going to like talk to these coaches about like technique and what I should be looking for in quarterbacks and offenses and understanding defenses and coverages and all that. So I would say I'm more sharp in my football IQ.
Yeah, man. And what about Harper Woods this season, fellas? I mean, give the folks first a glimpse of what we'll see at the 7-on-7 in a couple of days, and then what should we expect to see from Harper Woods this year? And I know you're a young fella, Dakota, but I want your take on it as well. Let's start with you. When folks come out to see Harper Woods, what will they see?
You're gonna see us dominate. We got a highly like senior team, so we got a lot of seniors. You know, they lead by example. They teach me right what's good. We're gonna dominate. You know, we did good at the little Michigan tournament. We gonna all around dominate. We got great offense, new offense coordinator. You know, he's good. You know, I like him. Defense coordinator, we always dominate on defense. I think we should be good this year.
Yeah, you don't just have a good dude. You got a great dude as your OC. Ceruli Powell, that's my man. Ruli is my guy. And so looking forward to see what he does with your offense over there. Jacob, I mean, you've obviously been around Harper Woods even much longer. What should we expect to see this season from you guys over at Harper Woods?
I would say speed. You're going to see some crazy speed, like crazy. And then we're more athletic. We're just all, I'm not even going to say too much because I already know it's people out there that's like expecting the old Harper Woods from years ago. It's totally different. I'm saying that right now. It's totally different. That's what I'm going to say.
All right. So, hey, man, you know we have to pick your brain about recruiting. And right now we're talking to Jacob Oden, Dakota Guerrant. You said when you go on these visits, you're talking to coaches about technique. When you go on a Michigan visit, you're recruiting, right? So I need your take on a couple fellas, on a couple guys I know you're recruiting. Jeremiah Beasley. Kind of give me your feel for how Michigan is looking with Jeremiah Beasley, and what's your recruiting pitch? What do you like? Act like you're recruiting Jeremiah right now.
My recruiting pitch to Jeremiah is we've been playing with each other since 6 years old. You see, this is the greatest college team in the country. We have everything you need: academics, athletics, NIL. Like, it's simple. It's simple.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, you got a couple days with him. Now he said he has an idea of what he wants to do, right? I know where you hope it is, but some competition in there. You got Mizzou, you got Michigan State, but you got a couple days to work on them. So we'll see where that one goes. Another guy that I know you were working on a couple weekends ago. He's coming off his Ohio State visit, Aaron Scott. So how do you feel about Aaron at this point, and what's your recruiting pitch to Aaron?
I mean, on Aaron, I'm real confident because he came. I would say if any recruit was to come on a visit, he came on the wrong visit because he came with all the commits. You don't do that unless you're trying to commit. Like, we was on him the whole time, and we had crazy fun. Like, I was with Aaron the whole time. We had so much fun. It don't even make sense. So, like, I'm real confident on Aaron. And you see he made out the Ohio State weekend, so I'm real confident with Aaron.
Yeah, man. So who else are you working? Because, look, if you are training, if you are getting ready for the season, Jacob, I feel like you're somewhere recruiting. You're recruiting somebody. I see you on social media. Seems like you're recruiting more than the coaches. So who else are you recruiting at this point?
Justin Scott, Elias Rudolph, Zaquan, Jordan, JJ Rubel, Jordan Ship. Yeah, that's.
So I'll ask you about one more guy, Justin Scott. How are you feeling about where Michigan is with Justin Scott at this point?
So, and Coach Hurt's presentation, he always talks about how we have the freak of the year almost every year, and that's always a D lineman. I'm saying to Justin, like, if you want to be first round draft pick as a D lineman, freak of the year on the best defense there is, number 2 defense last year, why not? It's Michigan. It's Michigan all the time.
This dude is a recruiter, Ira. This dude is a recruiter. He is a Wolverine through and through, and he is the son of a coach. That's the other thing. So he hits on the points. that you hear coaches hitting on. All right, so fellas, as we wrap up, let's bring things back to sound mind, sound body. This organization, Jacob, I know you've been a part of it for years and can speak to what it's done for you. Dakota, it is, you're a young fella. Your experience thus far with sound mind, sound body, what has it meant for you? What have they done for you? What do you think of SMSB?
They give me all around the country. They teach me how to be a good young man. They get great exposure. Teach you how to be a better athlete. Teach you how to talk to college coaches. Get you all around the colleges and all types of stuff.
All right, and then Jacob, of course, like I said, you've been a part of this program. I think we first saw you at a Sound Mind, Sound Body event. What has Sound Mind, Sound Body meant to you?
I mean, they mean everything to me because, like, you could see pictures of me at, like, 5 years old at the high school camp doing one-on-ones. And, like, you could see me and Dakota on the sideline throwing the ball or something. So, like, I feel like it's built me to be a better man. So they take us all around the country, have us do more than just football. Listen to, like, speakers, people who used to do football, people who moved past football and have better careers, all type of stuff. So, like, I feel like somebody has prepared me for the real world outside of football and athletically, too, with football.
Gotcha. Well, fellas, appreciate you taking the time. Looking forward to seeing you in the 7-on-7 again, folks. The Detroit 7-on-7 Showcase presented by Sound Mind, Sound Body, Wednesday and Thursday at Wayne State University. You want to see these two fellas in action with Harper Woods? That is the place to be, and several other top prospects and teams. That is the place to be to get some great high school football action in the summer. Good luck at the 7-on-7, fellas. Good luck this season, and we'll be checking for you. Thanks a lot for taking the time.
Thanks.
All right, thanks a lot. Dakota Guerrant. Let me get the young man's name right. Dakota Guerrant, and then Jacob Oden, who, folks, you can he's a recruiter, Mr. Weintraub. He needs to be on the page. They can't do NIL in the state of Michigan. If you could, some sort of recruiting service. I'm talking about like that goes out to recruit workers for whatever business they have.
Yeah, like ZipRecruiter.
Like
whatever.
ZipRecruiter?
Yeah, whatever.
That dude, all right, NIL all day. ZipRecruiter needs to be all on Jacob Oden once he gets to Michigan and he can sign an NIL deal. Because that dude is a hell of a recruiter. All right.
Sam, just to kind of tie it in, one of the comments we got from Kwame, I completely agree with this. I am just impressed with how all these young men are poised before the camera, impressive, and how they have been raised right. Like, that's the thing that stands out to me. I have done a lot of interviews for a long time, even before I got here, right? You've talked to a lot of kids, but you put them on a camera. These kids are not even college kids, right? A lot of these kids are like freshmen and sophomores in high school, right? These are pretty young kids, and they've all come on here and they have represented themselves very well. I was very impressed. I can't tell you how many interviews I used to do with high school kids, and I'd be like, are you looking at the cliche board over my shoulder to answer the questions? Like, and that's not what we're getting, right? You're getting really good stuff. It's impressive stuff.
Yeah, man. And again, you get a chance to really kind of hear what the guys are in a more informal capacity. Man, you step up at a camp and there are 20 microphones in front of them. You get a certain kind of response. But here, like, you're getting the guys. You're getting them how they are. Right. So that is really, really cool. And this is really, really cool to see where SMSB is. Like, hey, they're getting back from the Dominican Republic and coming back to do another 7-on-7. Always something going on. And I remember they're 19 years old. We first went out. We were the only media organization covering them, Allen and I, 18 years ago. The only ones there from the media. So to see them now is just, that's full circle, and that's surreal too. Doing a lot of great things for young men in the community. So definitely always there to support, and really looking forward to this 7-on-7.
I'd love to see Black go back to like those first 5 years and do like an alumni list and put together like where some of those guys, most of them went to college and are not in the pros, right? But see how many of those guys went off to college and they are whatever they are professionally now, and just to see the successes of the program, because the successes of the program are not actually written in how many guys make to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great note to add on to your thing, but the successes are how many of those guys go on to college, graduate, and become, valuable members of society, whatever that actually means. And my guess is that list would be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, they definitely do it really, really well with SMSB. All right, we got to get to a break. We got more guests coming up as well to kind of close this portion of the program out. So stay tuned for that. And we're going to wrap up our preview of the Detroit 7-on-7 brought to you by Sound Mind, Sound Body at Wayne State University. Stay tuned here on Sports Talk 1050 WTK, The Ticket.
Clear on the radio.
All right, so we should have a couple more coming in here. But let's get to some of the comments. So Sheldon was talking about Dakota's afro. Said, yeah, man. Hey, bro.
Sam,
I hear you.
I'd like to point out, and this includes Allen Trieu, this might be one of the best hair days this show has had in a really long time. I would like to point that out. I'm going to include Allen on that.
Yeah.
But this has been a very impressive. I don't want to leave out Bryce. There were a few.
Yeah.
There's some impressive
See,
hair.
Bryce's was kind of pulled back.
But
yeah.
At one point before he went on, his head was kind of bowed down, so I could see him in the waiting room, and I had a pretty good view of it. But Sam, if you take off your hat, you'll show why. I mean, between the two of us, we have no hair. So
right?
This is maybe the best hair day we've had on this show in years.
Yeah, man. It is. It goes without saying that, hey, man, hair is part of your expression. And so they're definitely expressing themselves this morning. Let's get a couple more of these comments getting in here. Let me see. Pulling up. Yeah, Nick Marsh is going to be really that one was a while ago after he committed to Michigan State. There was a little interest after he opened things back up, but Michigan State, Kansas, others in there. That really what it'll come down to in the grand scheme of things. We got some takers on Jeremiah Beasley. Feel like Beasley's going to Mizzou, SEC ball, starting early, playing teams like Bama and Georgia. We got Kwame said, nah. Based on his interview, Jeremiah is headed to Michigan, straight baller and dog. So people chiming in with a lot of comments here. Eric Woodward said, I ain't trying to lose every game. We got the fans chiming in with takes on what they think, which is really, really cool. You could drop your comments on the YouTube channel, on the Facebook channel. You can drop them everywhere. But let's go ahead and get started as we get ready to come back from break. A future Nittany Lion. And you always talk about, we were talking about this morning, leadership from veterans. It's magnified in the time of a coaching change, and we see that at West Bloomfield. And joining us now, Kari Jackson from West Bloomfield. Kari, good morning. How are you, man? Let's take him off mute, Mr. Weintraub. Or is he on? You have yourself muted, Kari? Give me a test. Yeah, it's not giving us your audio there. Yeah, that's definitely on your end. So you're gonna have to unmute your microphone. Do you see in the bottom corner the microphone icon is? Oh, he's not muted. Yeah, I don't know what that is. That would be. Let's see if we got a couple seconds here. What else could it be? Why don't you try going out the room and coming back in? Let's see if we can. Okay. Okay. And we are back, folks, here on the Michigan Insider Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTKA.com. Sam Webb, Ira Weintraub on the other side. We had Allen Trieu earlier as we break down the Detroit 7-on-7 showcase brought to you by Sound Mind, Sound Body. Several great guests. Going to try to close things out with Kari Jackson from West Bloomfield. We'll see if we can get the technical difficulty ironed out. So we're going to try to add them to the stream one more time. I know this is live radio, so we're going to try to make it happen. And so, Kari, give us a test. You there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. There we go. There we go. As you are repping Penn State University on your way to Happy Valley. But let's just start off first. Kari, let's rewind the tape, man. Coach Grice decides to hang him up. And so I mentioned this to Brandon as well, Brandon Davis Swain, who on his way to Colorado. You guys are already expected to be leaders, but when you're breaking in a new head coach, it feels like that mantle is even higher, that pressure to lead is even greater. Is that the case? And how are you handling that?
I would say that we do have a good head coach in place that knows the system and knows the school. So, he allows us to communicate with him and we kind of lead together. So, and also as going into our senior years, we've been with some of these guys for a long time, and even before high school. So they know us pretty well, and they listen to us. So we don't really have to do a lot to lead, because they kind of follow our things and things that we say. They trust us a lot. So, and we work hand in hand with our coaches now since the new staff. We're kind of getting to learn them and the things they like and how they operate. And then us being captains, they want us to communicate as a player and know different things our players are looking for through the coaches. And then we kind of just had that back and forth communication.
So tell us, because we're going to be watching you guys. I mean, West Bloomfield is always, you guys are always loaded with talent. You're always one of the best teams in the state. We take it for granted that you're just going to always be that, right? We'll get our first glimpse of what next year's team looks like at this 7-on-7 coming up here in a couple of days. So give us a scouting report on the team. Kari, what should we expect to see?
I'll say I start on the opposite side of the ball. We super fast. We can go deep. We have a quarterback that's making smart decisions. We have a lot of weapons, on our receiving core. That's probably our strength on our team right now, our receiving core. They make good catches. They make good decisions with the ball. They protect the ball. So we'll be scoring a lot of touchdowns, obviously, on offense. And then on defense, our DBs, both DBs are locked down. Our safeties, they holding the back half down, so it's not really be a lot of deep shots. And then in the middle, we're holding it down in linebacker position, so no slants and drag routes. So it's gonna really be a shutdown at the 7-on-7. I feel like offense is gonna be scoring the ball. So
yeah, I know this wouldn't be a place where we would see what you guys look like in the trenches without Amir, right? But without Amir, without Samaj, right? Talked about leadership. Both of those guys were big time leaders. I know it's not just you. And so who's leading with you? I imagine Brandon has to be one of them, right? Who are the guys that are stepping up to be leaders on this team along with you?
I'll say our three captains as of right now are Jameer Benjamin, me, and then Brandon. So those are our three captains right now. Because we've been here for like probably the longest time. Me and Brandon had started. We played freshman year on varsity, and then Jameer played his sophomore year on varsity. So we were named the first three captains so far this year, and then the next two will be decided before the season starts. So.
All right. So Penn State, you're a future Nittany Lion. We see you rocking the shirt, rocking the colors right now.
Yes, sir.
What was it about Penn State that made that be the place for you?
I would say it was the closest thing to a feeling of home from any other college I was getting recruited by. The coaching staff and the players, they really have a different type of mentality when it comes to taking everybody in and treating everybody as family. Like the coaches and player relationship is really different than I've ever seen at any other school. As far as like every single coach becoming like a father figure or like an uncle to every single player. They allow everybody to come with anything they need or talk to them about anything. So they're open arms from freshman year. So, and I was able to build some great relationships with the players during my recruiting process and build a great relationship with my position coach and defensive coordinator. So it was just a great staff and a great group of guys on the team. So,
gotcha. So sound mind, sound body, Kari. I mean, look, so many of you guys have talked about how impactful being a part of the program has been. Some of the other guys that came on before you. What about you? What has your SMSB experience been like? What has the program meant to you?
I would say I was a Rising Stars guy growing up, so I really didn't get to be a part of somebody like that. But and them hosting these type of events for us in high school, that was kind of my first experience with somebody. And like a little bit in Little League because I played for the Southfield Falcons, so we were connected in that way a little bit. But they're real impactful, obviously, in like the community and stuff. And I love what they do with the youth. And obviously setting up events like this for us to be able to showcase our talents on a big stage in Michigan, because that's something that, Michigan we like that. Like a lot of people don't really like to come out, and we don't have big stages or big tournaments and stuff like that. But for them to put on different things like this throughout our high school careers was really good and something that's different. So,
yeah, man. Well, appreciate you taking time out of your morning. Can't wait to see what this version of West Bloomfield looks like, man. And this will be my first time watching you guys in action this summer. So really looking forward to it. Good luck out there at the 7-on-7 and good luck next season. And we'll see you again in a couple of days.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Kari Jackson, West Bloomfield, on his way to Penn State. It is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a loaded event already this morning. Just this morning alone, you heard from Nick Marsh, Isaiah Marshall. Who else we had on? Elijah Dotson, who's an up-and-comer from UAD. Xavier Newsom, who is a big-time player out of King. Some people consider him the number one tight end in the country, and he said, I'm a edge, and he's a top 247 edge, too. It tells you what kind of talent he brings to the table. Jeremiah Beasley, who's going to be announcing his decision on night one of the 7-on-7 showcase down there at Wayne State. He says 7 o'clock. You can expect that to be the time coming up here on Wednesday. Missouri, Michigan State, Michigan, of course. He said he kind of knows where he's heading, right? He knows where he's leaning. So you heard, of course, Bryce Underwood. A young fella, I mean, you got to understand. That dude is so big time, it's ridiculous. So for him to take time out of his morning to come on and talk to you about sound mind, sound body, the 7-on-7, tells you what he thinks of the program, tells you what he thinks of this team that he has coming back too, because you could tell he was very, very excited about that, and gave you some real scoop, some real dish about what's on the horizon for him when it comes to his decision. January 6th is the date. So all the schools watching, yeah, that's your timeline for getting Bryce Underwood in the fold. Of course, the Harper Woods crew of Jacob Oden and Dakota Guerrant, young up-and-comer. Dakota earned a Michigan offer here recently as he went out to camp. That's one of many to come. He's going to be offered by all the big-timers. He's only a freshman. Right. So, and then Jacob Oden, of course. And then we close things out here with Kari Jackson. It was a loaded lineup, and that's not even all the guys that are going to be at this 7-on-7. So if you, like I've been saying, if you want to see some great high school action, that is going to be the place to be. Some great, some of the top prospects in the country, that is the place to be. Wayne State University, Wednesday and Thursday, Detroit 7-on-7 Showcase brought to you by Sound Mind, Sound Body. Going to be outstanding. Lots of great food vendors. Of course, 24/7 Sports will be there, profiling all the games and definitely all the recruiting notes, many of which you got this morning. So, again, thanks for taking time out of your morning. No, it's a bit of a departure for folks on the radio. Hope you enjoyed that. You got some different perspective on different schools as well, prospects that are headed to different schools. And hopefully I'll see many of you down there in a couple of days as well. As got to give a shout out to Tyrone Wheatley for, bringing these events. Not that I have minded going all out to Grand Valley. That was cool when they had the events out there, out to Ferris. But man, I love that it's back in the D. Just selfishly,
home.
right?
It's home.
Yeah, it's home.
I'm not saying home for you. I'm saying home for the event.
Oh, it is. It is. You're right. 100% right.
But home for the event. Obviously, yeah, your travel's easier. You're sleeping in your own bed. And for a lot of these kids, we're talking to, obviously they're local to the trip, but for the event, for Curtis Blackwell, right? This is home.
Yeah.
And for Wheat to have a place for them to have this event at home is very cool.
Yeah, man. Big time. Cannot wait. Thank you for joining us. We'll have, if you missed any of these, you will be able to find full replays over on the MichiganInsider.com, on the YouTube channel, on the Facebook page. Sound Mind, Sound Body will be putting it on their YouTube channel as well. So you'll be able to catch any replays of any interviews there. Thanks to Curtis Blackwell he said he got back from the Dominican Republic, at 3 o'clock in the morning?
And I thought I got back late from the concert last night at Hill, and I got home around midnight.
Yeah, and jumped on here this morning to preview this event. So I appreciate him taking the time and appreciate Black. I feel like we came up together, right? The guys I got my start with, I think about Curtis Blackwell being one of those guys on the football side. So many coaches that we still see out there. Rod Oden. I remember going to see when Rod was an assistant at Crockett. And I saw Coach McGee, Coach Steve McGee the other day, as a matter of fact. He's an administrator now. But back when they had Brandon Graham and John Thompson and those guys, so many guys that helped you get started on the basketball side of things, Speedy and Vince Baldwin and all those guys. I mean, you get 20 years down the line. Yeah, you feel old, but you also feel that great perspective. You feel thankful to be in the game as long and to see so many guys go on to have success. Well, I think many of the guys that we see out there today are going to be guys we look back upon 20 years from now and say, yeah, man, remember that dude in Sound Mind, Sound Body? Yeah, looking forward to that too. Thanks a lot, folks.